Welcome to the Legacy Vault. Today we delve into the dark, thrilling world of Blade, the 1998 vampire saga that revolutionized the superhero genre. Here's 17 interesting facts about this iconic movie. Let's start off with a couple of special mentions. Around the 1 hour and 49-minute mark, we see a subtle yet crucial detail in combat realism. As Blade charges Frost, his ninjato is held correctly away from his body. His technique, essential for safety, prevents accidental self-injury if the weapon is dropped while running, showcasing the film's commitment to realistic weapon handling. The iconic British band The Prodigy was initially approached to create the score and soundtrack for the movie. Renowned for their high energy and distinctive sound, The Prodigy's involvement could have added a unique sonic dimension to the film. However, due to conflicting work commitments, the band ultimately had to decline the offer. At around the 27-minute mark, Whistler introduces himself to Karen, revealing that his first name is Abraham. This is a clever homage to Bram Stoker, the author of the original Dracula novel, whose full first name was Abraham. Stoker himself used this name for one of the key characters in the book, Abraham Van Helsing, the famous vampire hunter. Despite the significant success and impact of Blade in reviving interest in Marvel movies and proving the viability of comic book adaptations, Marvel Comics astonishingly earned only $25,000 from the film. This modest sum reflects the licensing agreements and the state of the comic book movie industry at the time, before the establishment of Marvel Studios. Blade and its sequels are classified as occurring on Earth 26320 in Marvel's multiverse. It distinguishes it from other storylines and universes, such as the main continuity of the Marvel Universe, which is designated as Earth 616. Number 1. Blade's signature gear. Blade, renowned for its gritty action and unique style, sports some really cool signature gear. He drives a heavily modified 1968 Dodge Charger, a car that exudes as much toughness and resilience as the vampire hunter himself. When it comes to eyewear, Blade keeps it cool and tactical with Black Fly's sunglasses, specifically the Microfly model in matte black, blending style with mystery. Blade's arsenal is as lethal as it is diverse. His primary weapon, a modified Ingram Mach 11 submachine gun pistol, packs a punch with 38 caliber rounds. But that's not all. His Benelli M3 Super 90, a semi-automatic tactical shotgun with a pistol grip, is versatile enough to fire both silver stakes and regular ammunition, making it perfect for any vampire showdown. Blade's sword, a central element of his combat gear, has an intriguing backstory. A deleted script conversation revealed that it originally belonged to Whistler, played by Chris Christopherson. Whistler, part of a long lineage of vampire hunters, passes this legacy onto Blade, embedding the sword with a deeper history and significance. Interestingly, the sword is designed without a guard, or suba, a choice that, while stylistically sleek, renders it somewhat impractical for traditional sword fighting, reflecting Blade's unconventional approach to combat. Number 2. Rebooting Blade and Frost. In the movie, Deacon Frost undergoes a significant transformation from his comic book origins. Reimagined for a more contemporary audience, he's portrayed as a younger Generation X type of character, a stark contrast to his comic counterpart, who was an older, white-haired gentleman with a German accent, originating from the year 1868. Similarly, the character of Blade is portrayed as younger in the film. While the comic version of Eric Brooks was born in 1929, the movie adaptation presents him as a character born in 1967, aligning him more closely with the present day. Both Blade and Deacon Frost have their roots in Marvel Comics' The Tomb of Dracula. Blade made his first appearance in issue 10, swiftly followed by Deacon Frost in issue 13. Their transition from the comic pages to the big screen involved significant character alterations, reflecting the filmmaker's vision and the evolving perceptions of vampire lore in popular culture. Number 3. The Ice Skating Vampire. In a moment of off-the-cuff brilliance, Wesley Snipes gave life to one of the film's most memorable lines. While brainstorming Deacon Frost's character, Snipes casually quipped that he's the kind of guy who'd ice skate uphill. This offhand comment not only caught the production crew by surprise, triggering a wave of laughter, but it also struck a chord with director Stephen Norrington and writer David S. Goyer. They found it so fitting that they wove it into the movie. This iconic line, emblematic of Frost's defiant nature, makes its appearance at the 1 hour, 52-minute mark, turning a spontaneous moment into a piece of cinematic gold.
Some motherfuckers are always trying to ice skate uphill.
Number 4. Jaw-dropping action. When Quinn, played by Donald Logue, pounced on Karen in the hospital corridor, the scene was all screams and chaos. But when Logue joined the screaming choir, everyone knew this wasn't part of the script. In the heat of the action, he took a face-first dive onto the floor, sending his previously injured jaw off track. Filming in a deserted wing of a real hospital turned out to be a stroke of luck, as medical help was just a corridor away. Now, here's where it gets fiery. Logue, decked out in ultra-realistic third-degree burn makeup, caused quite the stir in the ER. His makeup was so convincing that the doctors were ready to treat him for severe burns. It took a quick-thinking crew member to explain the situation, as Logue's dislocated jaw wasn't exactly helping him chat with the doctors. Originally, Quinn was just a blip on the Blade radar, but Logue, with his knack for cracking everyone up on set, saw his role expand like a vampire in a blood bank. He got so into character that a good chunk of his lines were improvised, adding a bite of humor to the otherwise grim vampire tale. Number 5. From Wakanda to Blade. Before Wesley Snipes became synonymous with Blade, his passion was set on adapting Black Panther for the big screen. His journey, however, was fraught with challenges: script rewrites, directorial uncertainty, storytelling disputes, and the technological limitations of the time, particularly in depicting Wakanda's splendor. These hurdles ultimately shelved his Black Panther dream. Around the same time, the Blade project came knocking. Despite his initial unfamiliarity with the Blade comics and a stronger resonance with 1970s blaxploitation heroes, Snipes embraced the role. He viewed Blade as a chance to portray a really cool character, merging his martial arts prowess with the iconic leather-clad vampire hunter. Interestingly, the Black Panther movie did eventually emerge in 2018, joining the Marvel Cinematic Universe, but this time without Snipes' involvement. Number 6. A scare too far. In the hidden depths of Blade, a chilling scene was cut before it could freeze the audience's blood. David S. Goyer, in the DVD commentary, said that Karen's discovery of the Blade's sword was just the tip of the iceberg. She was meant to find something far more unnerving, a bizarre hybrid infant, eerily floating in a tank. According to Goyer, the scene packed enough horror to send chills down the audience's spine, but New Line begged to differ. A case of horror too horrifying, even for Blade. But sometimes, what's left unseen haunts us the most. Number 7. Cardboard Commuters. In the subway chase scene, if you find the passengers a bit flat, you're not wrong. The passengers on board are not real people, but cardboard cutouts. Among these two-dimensional commuters, there's the special effects man himself, disguised as one of the flat, inanimate commuters. This creative workaround not only saved on production costs, but also added a hidden layer of humor for the most observant fans. Number 8. Feeding Future. There's a scene where Karen and Deacon Frost discuss the vampire cure, and originally, it delved deeper into a haunting aspect of their world. The extended version addressed a chilling question.
If you turn everybody into vampires, whose blood are you going to drink?
The answer lay in a grim vision of the future. Humans preserved as living blood reservoirs in giant bags, farmed for their vital essence. Although this part was cut, the eerie glimpse of blood bags is still visible in a scene where Tracy Lord's character leads her date through the meat processing factory to the rave club. This concept didn't just vanish, it resurfaced as a central theme in Blade Trinity. The idea also inspired the core plot of 2009 movie, Daybreakers, showcasing its lasting impact on vampire lore in cinema. Number 9. Blade's alternate universe. The casting journey for Blade was a complex and evolving process, marked by a series of interesting considerations and choices for the film's key roles. Initially, when New World Pictures held the rights to Marvel Comics, they envisioned a Mexico-set western with Richard Roundtree in the lead role. However, the project took a different turn when David S. Goyer pitched his idea for a Blade movie to New Line Cinema. Although the executives at New Line saw Wesley Snipes, Denzel Washington, and Lawrence Fishburne as potential fits for Blade, Goyer was convinced from the start that Snipes was the perfect choice and even wrote the script with him in mind. Marvel Studios began developing the film as early as 1992, with LL Cool J expressing interest in playing the role, but it was Wesley Snipes who was ultimately cast in 1996, bringing Goyer's vision to life. The role of Whistler also saw varied considerations. While Patrick McGoohan was the first choice for director Stephen Norrington, who admired his work in the Prisoner TV series, Norrington later favored Chris Christopherson for the role, picturing him as a cool grandfather type. Goyer, on the other hand, had originally written the character with Samuel Fuller in mind. The role of Deacon Frost was particularly sought after, with Mark Wahlberg, Skeet Ulrich, and Bruce Payne all considered for the part. Intriguingly, Jet Li was offered the role but chose to do Lethal Weapon 4 instead. The film also marked the debut of Matt Schultz, adding another notable name to the diverse casting list of Blade. Number 10. Stan's Lost Cameo. Stan Lee, the legendary Marvel figure, was initially set to grace the film as a police officer discovering Quinn's flaming body post-Blood Club raid, but this cameo was left on the cutting room floor. Director Stephen Norrington didn't just stay behind the camera, he appeared twice in the film. In a scene where Blade tails Krieger, Norrington sneaks in as a vampire, biting a woman's neck. His second cameo is even more mysterious, appearing in the alternative ending as Morbius, the living vampire. Speaking of Morbius, this character was initially planned as the main villain for Blade 2. However, the plot shifted when Marvel sold Morbius's rights to Artisan Entertainment for a standalone film, a role that would eventually be filled by Jared Leto in Morbius. Number 11. Martial Arts Combat. Around the 46-minute mark, during a scene with Krieger and Frost, there's a brief shot of a black teenage girl in a silver jacket and black pants, engrossed in watching TV. The scene on the screen? It's the reptile's transformation from the Mortal Kombat movie. This 1995 martial arts film, known for its high-octane action, was based on a popular and controversial video game renowned for its brutal combat. The same girl wearing a silver jacket, portrayed by Ebony Adams and credited as the martial arts kid, emerges again in the film around the 51-minute mark. According to Wesley Snipes' commentary, the production team went to great lengths to find her. Their subsequent fight scene in the library is a strategic move designed to catch the audience off guard by introducing an unexpected and formidable opponent. Adams, a national martial arts competitor in real life, presents an unexpected challenge for the Daywalker. Her youthful appearance creates a moral dilemma for Blade. Initially, he opts to block her attacks, hesitant to engage fully due to her semblance to a teenager. This restraint reflects Blade's internal conflict over battling someone who looks so young. However, recognizing that she's a vampire, he is eventually compelled to act, ending the confrontation with a swift and decisive punch. This scene not only introduces a surprising adversary, but also delves into the ethical complexities Blade faces in his crusade against vampires. Number 12. 700 Pounds of Terror. The Vampire Pearl presented an extraordinary challenge for the production team due to his immense size. The character was so colossal that a special set had to be constructed entirely around him. Pearl, made of approximately 700 pounds of latex skin, was a true behemoth in the context of movie monsters. The sheer size and weight of this creation were so substantial that moving it around the set required a forklift. Bringing Pearl to life was a complex task as well, involving a team of 4 people, one operating the head, one for each arm, and another controlling the feet. His lair, cluttered with used blood bags and debris, hints at a darker initial concept where dead children, an easy prey for the immobile Pearl, were to be scattered around. This chilling detail was complemented by director Stephen Norrington's backstory for Pearl, attributing his obesity to a cannibalistic craving for the hearts of infants and children. Wesley Snipes, deeply involved in the creative process, suggested that the entrance to Pearl's lair be through a walk-in freezer, adding a literal chill to the vampire's already unsettling hideout. Interestingly, Pearl's original design concept was a stark departure from the final version. Initially envisioned as an androgynous Japanese man, Pearl's character evolved significantly, highlighting the creative journey and the bold choices made in bringing the Blade universe to life. Number 13. Melrose Place. There's a scene in the movie between Karen and Curtis that creators Stephen Norrington and David S. Goyer humorously referred to as the Melrose Place segment. This scene was intentionally crafted to be a dull, romantic interlude, designed to catch the audience off guard. By extending the conversation just a bit too long, to the point where viewers might start feeling disengaged, the scene sets up a perfect moment of surprise. The idea was to lull the audience into a false sense of security, making the sudden appearance of a vampire even more shocking. Despite its deliberate pacing, the studio was initially keen on cutting the scene, but Norrington and Goyer stood their ground, believing in its strategic importance. Their decision was vindicated during a test screening, where the scene elicited one of the strongest reactions from the audience. Its success in achieving the intended effect ensured that it remained a part of the final film. Number 14. Dubbed by Bloodline. In the Japanese dub of Blade, broadcasted by TV Tokyo, an intriguing real-life connection added a layer of authenticity to the characters of Whistler and Blade. Chikao Otsuka lent his voice to Whistler, while Akio Otsuka, his real-life son, voiced Blade. This casting created a unique dynamic, where the father-son duo in real life brought to life the powerful relationship between Blade and his mentor Whistler on screen. The casting choice inadvertently mirrored the mentor-protege relationship that exists between these characters in the movie, lending a natural chemistry to their interactions. Number 15. Trenchcoat Twins. Blade, released in 1998, surprisingly shares several thematic and stylistic elements with The Matrix, which debuted a year later in 1999. Both films present a protagonist who discovers the world they know is a facade, secretly manipulated by a hidden force. In Blade, it's the vampire underworld, while in The Matrix, it's the simulated reality controlled by machines. Each narrative features a small, determined group of rebels fighting these unseen oppressors from the shadows. Stylistically, both films' protagonists, Blade and Neo, are characterized by their iconic long trench coats and heavy reliance on martial arts in their action sequences. Additionally, around the 1 hour and 12-minute mark in Blade, there's a scene with a bullet dodging moment reminiscent of The Matrix's iconic bullet time sequences. Despite these parallels, it's important to note that both movies were developed independently. Blade was not only released before The Matrix, but the latter was filmed between March and August 1998, which means it was written and planned long before Blade hit the silver screen in August 1998. This parallel development highlights a fascinating era in cinema, where themes of alternate realities and stylized action were emerging independently in different creative minds. Number 16. Marvel's Cinematic Pioneer. Blade holds a special place in the history of Marvel Comics-based movies, serving as a catalyst for the genre's explosive growth. It became the first Marvel movie to achieve both financial and critical success, setting a precedent before the advent of the hugely successful X-Men and Spider-Man movies. Despite Blade not being a widely recognized character prior to the movie's release, the film succeeded in establishing him as a profitable figure in the Marvel Universe. Blade not only rekindled interest in comic book adaptations, but also arrived at a time when vampire-themed entertainment was gaining traction, as evidenced by the popularity of Buffy the Vampire Slayer, which premiered a year earlier. Many viewers, possibly unaware of Blade's comic book origins, were drawn to the film for its cool vampire-hunting protagonist. Interestingly, Blade's appeal was also bolstered by his first animated appearance in Spider-Man the Animated Series, which was still airing around the time of the film's release. This exposure helped generate interest among younger audiences, further solidifying Blade's place in the pantheon of Marvel characters brought to life on the big screen. Number 17. Crimson Frost. In the original ending of Blade, a drastic transformation was planned for the character of Deacon Frost. He was set to morph into a monstrous entity composed entirely of blood. This ambitious concept aimed to escalate the final confrontation with Blade to an otherworldly level. However, this ending faced significant challenges. Test audiences struggled to relate to the character once he transformed into this formless, blood-made monstrosity. Additionally, the special effects team found it difficult to convincingly realize this complex visual on screen. As a result of these factors, this original ending was ultimately revised to create a more relatable and technically feasible climax for the film. That wraps up our deep dive into Blade, a film that not only redefined vampire lore, but also kickstarted the Marvel movie craze. If you enjoyed this video, please support our channel by subscribing. Have a great day, and see you next time.